We met in the most ordinary way. There were no fireworks, no grand, dramatic moment that you'd tell everyone about for years to come. It was just a conversation that lasted a little longer than it should have. At first, you were just someone, a name on my screen, a voice I slowly started to recognize, even when you weren't saying anything important. But somehow, all those moments of nothing important became everything. We talked about our days, the little victories and the small frustrations. We shared the things we loved, the music, the movies, the silly little dreams we held on to. We even talked about the fears we pretended didn't exist, the ones we kept hidden from the rest of the world. It was strange how quickly we learned each other. You knew my habits before I even noticed them myself. You knew I always made tea when I was stressed, or that I'd rewatch the same comfort show over and over. And I knew when something was wrong just by the way you typed. The pauses were a little too long, the words a little too careful. It was comfortable, almost too comfortable. And that's how I knew it mattered. That's when the quiet alarm bells started to ring. People warned me. Friends would say things like, "Don't get too attached," or "Be careful. Not everything that feels good is meant to last." They saw something I was trying to ignore. But how do you pull away from something that feels like home? How do you willingly walk away from the one place you feel completely, utterly yourself? It felt impossible. So I stayed. We never defined what we were. We existed in this beautiful, fragile bubble, but we never put a name on it. And maybe, just maybe, that was our biggest mistake. Because when things stayed unclear, so did our place in each other's lives. Were we friends? Were we more? We floated in the ambiguity, too scared to burst the bubble. Slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, the conversations started to change. Replies took longer. The easy, effortless energy that had defined us began to fade. Silence started filling the spaces where laughter and late-night talks used to live, and I found myself making excuses for it. I blamed timing. I blamed the distance. I blamed life for getting in the way. I blamed anything and everything except the truth. The truth was simple, and it was cruel. We were both afraid to ask for more. I was terrified of losing you by admitting I wanted you too much. The thought of putting my heart on the line and potentially losing this connection. And I think you were just as scared. You didn't want to risk rejection by showing how deeply you cared. So, we both pretended. We pretended we were okay with being in almost love. Almost chosen. Almost enough. We settled for the safety of ambiguity, not realizing it was a slow poison. And then one day, the talking just stopped. There was no big fight, no dramatic goodbye, no final conversation to offer closure. It was just a quiet, gradual fade into silence. A text left unanswered. A call that was never made. It was the quiet, hollow realization that we had reached the end of our story without ever noticing we were on the last page. The silence was louder than any argument could have been. I missed you in strange, unexpected ways. It wasn't just your voice or your laugh. It was the version of myself you brought out in me. I missed the honesty we shared, the softness I felt safe enough to show you. Most of all, I missed the feeling of being completely understood without having to explain myself. With you, I didn't have to translate my thoughts. You just got them. And losing that felt like losing a part of myself. The world felt a little less bright, a little less warm. Time passed. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. The sharp ache of your absence slowly softened to a dull, familiar hum. I started rebuilding. I found new routines, rediscovered old hobbies, and reconnected with the person I was before you. The healing was slow, and it wasn't a straight line. There were days I'd see something that reminded me of you and the sadness would rush back in. But it became less frequent, less powerful. And then, one random, ordinary day, you showed up in my thoughts again. But this Chimi, it was different. It wasn't painful. There was no longing, nuashi of watif. It was just gentle, a quiet memory, like flipping through an old photo album, a fond smile for a chapter that had closed. And that's when I knew I had healed. I realized that some people aren't meant to stay in your life forever. They're meant to be beautiful, significant chapters, not the whole book. They come into your life to remind you that connection can exist without permanence. That deep intimacy doesn't always need a label or a defined future to be real and meaningful. And that even unfinished stories, the ones that end with a quiet ellipses instead of a period, can be beautiful in their own way. They teach you, they shape you, and then they let you go. We were never strangers. We were just two people who met at the wrong time, or maybe in the wrong way, but we changed each other anyway. And for that, I will always be grateful. Thank you for listening. If this story resonated with you, I'd love it if you'd subscribe and join our community. See you in the next one.